If God is good, why is life so hard? Hi friends, I'm Betsy, and this is Everyday Faith for Her, formerly Moments to Ponder. If you're a busy Christian mom that feels spiritually disconnected and overwhelmed, yet desire a deeper relationship with God, then you're in the right place. This podcast is designed to help you understand the Bible and integrate it into your life so you can experience greater peace, purpose, and connection with Jesus. In this episode, we'll explore how James helps us understand the challenges that we face. We'll look at the difference between trial and temptation, why it's easy to question God's goodness during hard times, and we'll look at remembering how knowing who God is can help us keep trusting Him. Welcome. This is episode 180. Have you ever looked at something God allowed in your life and thought, if God is good, why would He let that happen? Maybe it was a big disappointment, or it's a temptation you keep fighting. Maybe it's a situation that simply doesn't make sense, or a season that's painful. We often assume that if God is good, then life should feel safe, comfortable, easy. But what if that's not how the Bible describes God's goodness at all? C.S. Lewis captured this tension beautifully in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There's a conversation between Susan and Mr. Beaver as she learns about Aslan. Mr. Beaver says, Aslan is a lion, the great lion. Ooh, said Susan, I thought he was a man. Is he quite safe? I shall feel rather nervous about meeting a lion. Safe? Said Mr. Beaver. Who said anything about safe? Of course he isn't safe, but he's good. He's the king, I tell you. I think this speaks to something that many of us struggle with. We see God as big, scary, and powerful, but He's also lowly, humble, compassionate, loving, patient, personal. God speaks in thunder and comes as a dove. He opens seas. He rips temple curtains, and He pours down manna. The issue isn't whether God is powerful. We see that everywhere. The real issue we often struggle with is whether God is good. The challenge with believing God's goodness isn't new. In fact, going way back to the Garden of Eden, Satan first tempted Eve as he tried to make her doubt the goodness of God. He told her that God was keeping something good from her, a fruit that would make her become like God, which painted God as cruel and selfish for not allowing her to have something beneficial. And she fell for that. God asks hard things of those who follow Him. It doesn't feel safe to know that God will guide us through hard seasons that are uncomfortable or even painful, but are for our good. And so in hard seasons, we can come to think of God as cruel or selfish for allowing it, or not good. James addresses this very struggle. When life gets hard and temptation comes, how should we view God? Is He the source of our problems, or is He the source of everything good in our lives? Let's dive in at verse 12. God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. Afterward, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love Him. And remember, when you're being tempted, do not say, God is tempting me. God is never tempted to do wrong, and He never tempts anyone else. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. As we revisit verse 12, notice that it speaks of testing and temptation, seeing them as different things. Simply put, a trial builds you up. It's to grow you, where a temptation aims to trip you up. The challenge is that a trial and a temptation can arrive in the same package. Losing a job can be a trial that teaches dependence on God, but it can also become a temptation toward bitterness, envy, and despair. The circumstance is the same, but the direction is different. So, for example, imagine you're exhausted after a long day. Maybe you don't even need to imagine it. Maybe you're exhausted right now. The trial is the exhaustion. The temptation is snapping at your husband, losing patience with your kids, or numbing out in ways you know that aren't healthy. See, exhaustion isn't the sin. It's what happens next when temptation enters the picture and if you act on it. See, our natural tendency is to blame someone or something else. Work, traffic, God, it's because I'm exhausted. But in reality, it's not about work or traffic. And it's not even about God. It's about you. We need to recognize what's really happening when we're being tempted. There's something that we want or desire or don't want, and we're tempted to cross a line in order to have it. James is telling us to be honest with ourselves and own our weaknesses. It's our own desires that pull us away. Sure, Satan tempts us, but the reason we fall to it is our own stuff. Don't give Satan too much credit. He plays on our desires, but he isn't making you do anything. He can't make you do it. But he really wants you to. He wants you to believe that all the hard stuff happens because God isn't actually good. His greatest strategy is to try to convince us that the pursuit of our own sinfulness will somehow produce goodness and produce life for us. But remember, he's out to kill, steal, and destroy. And that includes you. I mean, why would God tempt us to do something that would lead us away from him? He wouldn't tempt us to do something that's sinful when his hope for us is that we come away from sin. In fact, in 1 Corinthians 10:13, Paul writes, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. And when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." Now, this verse is often used to say God won't give you more than you can handle, but that's not what this verse said. This verse speaks to temptation. God will always help you beat the temptation to help you grow and learn so that you can endure. James continues in verse 16 to say, "So don't be misled, my dear brothers and sisters." Remember, there's a lot out there that wants to mislead us. Using our own selfishness, Satan wants to tell us that God is keeping us from something good. But what's the truth? Verse 17, "Whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down to us from God our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow. He chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word, and we, out of all creation, became his most prized possession." So let's go back to the question I raised earlier. When life gets hard and temptation comes, how should we view God? Is he the source of our problem or the source of every good thing in our lives? James wants us to see that our view of God affects how we deal with the testing and temptation that come our way. When we stand firm in who we know God to be, a generous, good, unchanging creator who has chosen us and loves us, knowing that he is not the source of any temptation, that we are, it changes how we see what we're dealing with. Because God is good, the trial you're facing can be used by God to strengthen your faith. Because God is good, this situation isn't hopeless. Because God is good, the temptations you face are not from him. And although they are being preyed upon, God will give you the strength to endure them. Now, I didn't say safe or easy or pain-free. It's about becoming more like Jesus. And as we follow him, we're learning to have the mind and heart that is sensitive to the will and presence of God. And sometimes this isn't safe or easy. Going back to the exhaustion example. Exhaustion isn't the sin, right? We know that. But it's what exhaustion can tempt us to do, to be someone maybe we don't like very much, is the challenge. I mean, there's the temptation to just numb out on your phone with a glass of wine, or let your kids run all over you, or take it out on your spouse. Those are real things, and you might find yourself asking, why does every day always end like this? Now let's apply the verses. Remember in verse 14, temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. And if we don't deal with them, they become unhealthy habits or even addictions. This is why when we shift and see what's in front of us as a trial, as an opportunity to learn, it changes. So if exhaustion is a trial, then what can we learn? Well, what could you do differently? How do you open your mind to the will of God and the sensitivity of his presence? Well, it begins by taking a really good look at yourself. What's behind your behavior? And this isn't fun, but it's important. Is there a habit that needs breaking? Like, do you just need to go to bed earlier? Or is there a distraction you're giving your focus to? Like you're impatient with your kids because you just want to be on your phone. You're impatient with your spouse because you would just rather have time to do whatever you want to do. It's in these kinds of situations that we can ask, what can I do differently that would help me in these moments? And then honestly taking action on that thing. Or maybe the question is, what can I change in order to help my family be healthier? It's not easy. Life is hard because life is hard. We live in a chaotic, fast-paced world that wants to define us and take us down through distraction and lies or encouraging our selfishness. Dear one, if you find yourself asking, can I still trust God when life doesn't feel good? The answer is yes. Our feelings don't change God. He is still powerful, big, and sovereign. He's also loving and compassionate, patient and personal. He loves you too much to leave you in the mess. And remember, he works all things for good in his time. He is always at work around you, offering you ways to grow in faith and in wisdom. We will face hard situations. That's life. And Satan will be there tempting us with, God isn't really good. James reminds us that that's simply not true. Every good gift comes from God. He doesn't change. He isn't withholding what is best for you. He isn't trying to make your life harder. He is a good father who can use even difficult things to shape you into the person he created you to be. He chose you. He has good gifts for you. So the next time you're facing a trial or wrestling with temptation, don't start by asking, why is this happening? Start by remembering who God is. Good, generous, loving. He may not always feel safe, but he is always good. If you haven't already, please follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episode as we continue our journey through the book of James. It is so rich with wisdom for us. As always, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. I know how valuable it is. And remember, your everyday moments are where God does some of his greatest work.